Hello and welcome everybody. This is the last part in our cookery workshop classes. Today we're going to be making eggy muffins and vegetable soup. So first things first, wash our hands, we can wash our veggies, get our work surfaces clean. Preheat our oven. We're going to put it on to 180 between a gas mark 4 and a 5, and then we're good to go and we can start. So step 1 of our eggy muffins, we'll start with a bowl. We need 2 eggs. The recipe that I've sent to you, the quantities may be different to what I'm doing right now. It is based on 6 servings. So just adjust and tailor that to your household and your needs. You can always double up, make more, pass it around, share it, freeze it, do whatever you like with it. But just work with the recipes and the quantities. So 2 eggs I'm using. We've got the red lion symbol here. Really important that we look at the dates. You can always do the water trick to check if your eggs are in date or not. It's just a guide. Obviously, if you've got your own hens in the garden, your own chickens, and they lay fresh every day, you're not going to have this. So we'll start cracking 2 eggs into a bowl. That's 1. That's 2. And then we'll add 90 ml of milk. You can use any type of milk, skimmed, whole, semi-skimmed, totally whatever is your preference to use. So in goes the milk. We'll have a little whisk. You can have a whisk or you can just use an ordinary fork like I am. Give that a little whisk just so it's a nice pale colour. That should be done. And then we're going to go in with our bread. So about 100 grams of bread I'm going to be using. Depending on your size of your loaf to how heavy each slice is. So whether you've got a thick slice, a medium, the smaller loaves, you can use white, brown, wholemeal, seeded, totally up to you. Even gluten if you're gluten free. So just break it up, crust 2, just tear it up, throw it into the bowl. They don't have to be all the same size. Try to get roughly the same size pieces as you're breaking them, but it doesn't make too much of a difference because the egg and the milk mix is going to break it all down anyway, and it's going to soften. Yeah, keep going with it. Also, your bread doesn't have to be too fresh. If it's a little bit stale, brilliant. It doesn't make a difference. So don't go especially to buy the freshest loaf on the shelves because it's not going to make too much of a difference. There we go, we're ready with that. Once all your bread is in the bowl, just give it a gentle mix around, and then you can leave that for about 10 minutes just so all the liquid soaks up into the bread and it'll be easier to work with. So just put that to the side for a moment. So back to our bowl, we're going to add in some grated cheese. We want a hard cheese, not a soft cheese, so you can use mild and mature red Leicester. It's totally up to you. I've added in about 30 gram. Just tailor that to how much cheese you like. Don't go overboard. We want to watch the fat content on it, and we want it to be a healthier alternative to snacks. If you want to season it with a little bit of pepper, you can, but we'll go on to seasoning later on. So we're going to load up our eggy muffin mixture with some goodies, veggie goodies. So I've got some frozen peas. I took them out the freezer, let them defrost in a pot at 100 grams. The good thing with frozen veggies is you can just simply take out what you need and it keeps, so you will have less wastage. If you want to use fresh, you can. So in goes my peas, spinach too. You can just use fresh. I've got frozen. So about 2 bowls of spinach. Let it defrost again. With the spinach, if you are using frozen, gently squeeze it. You can see all that excess water coming out there. We don't want that in there because we don't want the mixture being too soggy. So just drain, give it a gentle squeeze, take out the excess water, pop it into the bowl, and then we will add in some fresh veggies. So with your veggies, it's totally up to you what you go for. In my recipe, I'm going to put in an onion, so about half an onion, red pepper. You could use a courgette, could use all courgette, onion and peppers. Make it your own. What I like isn't necessarily what you might like, so just make it your own. So I'm going to put pepper in, cut it in half, scoop out the seeds. We can do that with a spoon like I showed you before. Just scrape that out. You could go for different types of peppers to give it a bit of colour. So just take the ends off there. Remember, it's always good to have a rubbish bowl or a waste bowl on the side. It just stops you walking away from your surface too many times. Keep it all in one place and it's less to clean up afterwards. So I'm just going to cut up my peppers quite finely. They don't have to be perfect sizes. So just remember the size of your peas. So you don't want things cooking at different times. So you kind of want everything the same kind of pieces. So there we go. I'm going to pop those in. And then we're just going to give it a mix up again. We'll add in the seasoning now. It doesn't make too much of a difference when you put your seasoning into the bowl, just as long as it's in there. So we don't want to go too mad with it. So a little bit of salt, not too much. A pinch of pepper. Yeah. If you like your spice, your herbs, put them in. Bit of pepper, maybe lemongrass. Coriander, garlic. I'd hold off with the garlic in the eggy muffins because we're going to put some into our soup. It's not going to be overpowering, so you can do, but I'm not on this occasion. So there we go. Always remember to clean as we go. So always make sure your board is clean to work with. And our cloth is under our chopping board to stop it moving. So always start to secure your board just makes it a little bit safer for you, especially when you're cutting. We don't want to have an injury or our board to slip and veggies slipping all over the shop, and then obviously it's a potential risk with slipping or whatnot. So just safety first, as always. Pretty simple. That's ready. The egg muffins are ready to go into the oven, but first things first, you can either work with muffin cases or a little bit of grease proof paper or baking parchment. Cut a square, get a glass, cup, beaker, whatnot, put it in the middle of your paper and just crease at the sides like that. Fold it over quite firm, and when you remove it, it will hold its shape, and then you can just fill these up with our filling. But remember, when we're filling our eggy muffin cases, it's not a cake, so it's not going to rise. So how much you put into that case is practically what's going to be there when you remove it from the oven. So fill them right up if you can. There we go. What I will say is, if you don't have the muffin cases and you're going for a make your own type case with baking parchment or grease proof paper, always try to trim them down a little bit or move your rack in your oven down, because that as well is a fire risk. So just give them a trim down. If you have little people, and by little people I mean early years, preschoolers, you may want to use smaller cases. So they're just smaller, because these are going to be quite hearty. I don't mean hearty on calories or whatnot, I mean in size. So if you want bite-sized little snack muffins, just make them smaller. This recipe, what I'm doing, is based on four servings. However, I've probably got half still in my bowl, so that's what I mean. You can just adjust the recipes to suit you. So now that all my cases are filled up and I've trimmed all the excess off the make your own makeshift cases, I can pop those into the oven for 25 to 28 minutes on gas mark 4, so about 180 degrees. I say 4, between a 4 and a 5, so just keep your eye on it, but try not to open the oven door. So pop them in, and then we can make a start with our soup. So moving on to our soup, so we want to get a saucepan, about a tablespoon of vegetable oil. We don't want to add too much fat into the dish. We want it to be a nice healthy lunch or even a starter to a main course. Just a little bit of oil so that when our veggies go in the pan, they're not sticking. We want to add a little bit of colour to them. So just 1 tablespoon would do. Vegetable stock cubes as well. You don't have to go for a high branded expensive vegetable stock. Just any cheap ones will do. So you can either get a jug, mix it up in a jug before you add it to the pan, or you can add the boiling water to the pan and just pop one of these in till it dissolves. I like to do mine in a jug beforehand, so I just pop this into there, get my boiled kettle, about 500 millilitres. If your soup is too thick, you can always add a little bit more, or if you've got a larger family, you can just double up the quantities. As I said, the quantities in the recipe that I've sent to you slightly differs to what I'm doing here, just to demonstrate and show you how to do things really. Also, if you do make too much soup, you can just cool it down, freeze it, or it will keep for 3 days in the fridge, and you can just pop it into a flask and take it out with you on your travels, if you go for a walk, if you're going to work, if the little ones are going to school. So that's dissolved. Just pop that to the side for a moment, and we'll start with our veggies whilst the oil is gently heating up on the pan. We want to start with a low heat to start with. So I'm going to start with a regular brown onion, medium size. Remember our technique, so we've got a bridge here. Hold our knife, yeah, flat surfaces down so that it's secure and there's not much movement. So with the carrot, just chop all the way down. Just remember, as you get closer towards the end, just keep those fingers well away from the blade. See, like that. If you want them cut a little bit finer, you can grab 1, 2, even 3, no more than 3, like that. So my finger and my thumb are holding them firmly in place. There we go, like that. And then we can just put them to the side. A little bit with the celery, so this bit I'm not going to keep, but the rest is good to go. Straight across and down. Just drive the blade into the board, let the knife do its job. So we're just rocking here. You see my fingers are nowhere near the blade. So the celery's done, the onion's done, the carrot's done. To our pan, we will start with the onions. So that's heated up nicely, so I'm just going to turn it right the way down. We don't want to cook them too quick. We don't want them to go brown. We just want them to soften till they lose their shape. Just gently soften them up a couple of minutes. If we are stirring, use a wooden spoon or a wooden instrument. That way it won't damage your pans. Give that a gentle stir. Just move this to the side. So cauliflower. So this is a nice big cauliflower, so I'm just going to bend these back. Keep them like that. Hold these together. Knife straight down. If it's a bit tricky, you can take it apart leaf by leaf. There we go. Oh. I'm not going to be needing all of this for the recipe, so about half. Yeah. And with the recipe, again, you can adjust it. Maybe you don't want to use a cauliflower. There's so many different types of soup. Parsnip, carrot and parsnip, leek and potato. Make it your own. Add as many vegetables as you wish in. With the cauliflower, I'm not going to cut it all off. I can just gently pick it apart. If you've got little people who want to get involved, task them with that. Once it's all apart, now we can look at cutting it into smaller, manageable pieces. I always wash my cauliflower with the leaves still on, so it is already washed. Don't remove the stalks, there's lots of goodness. So see here, I'm not going to throw that away. It's going to break down nicely in the soup. You won't know. So we're about done with our cauliflower. Now that our onion has softened up, I'm going to go in with my carrots and my celery. Again, whilst the carrots and the celery are gently softening up and they're in the pan with the onions, we can go in with some garlic. You can use fresh like I am, or you can cheat. It's not cheating. You can use garlic granules or powder. The good thing with the granules or the powder is you haven't got a restriction on using it too quickly. It lasts for a good time. So I've just got my knife, took the end off. You can either crush the garlic with your knife with the skin on, or if you just cut the end off, peel it and then crush it, it just makes it go a little bit further. It's just easier to cut. So little pieces or little slices, and then cross chop. So we just move that blade around. So our cauliflower and garlic can go in about now. So I'm just going to take the whole board with me. When you're scraping anything off your board, really, try not to scrape it too much with a blade. Turn it around, just be mindful, and just use the back or the top, and you won't do too much damage to your board. So I'm going to put them in. I'm now ready to put my stock in. There we go. Now that we've got our stock in, we can turn up the heat. We want to bring it up to the boil, and then once it's brought up to the boil, we can just turn it down to gently simmer, and we want to aim for all the veggies to be soft. Like with a potato, you can put a fork in, stab it into our carrot, our cauliflower, and we want it to gently slide out and be soft. So that's what we're looking out for. Whilst that is doing, we can go ahead and clean up. Just remember to keep an eye on those muffins that are in the oven. We don't want them to burn. If you want to, you can add some pepper to season. We can add some chili flakes or whatever herbs or spices into your pan at this stage. Be a little bit mindful if you're going to add salt, because stock cubes are quite salty anyway, so we don't want it being overpowering. Now I've just removed my eggy muffins from the oven. They should be golden and firm, and then you can just let them rest and cool down on the side until you're ready to either eat them, or you can pop them in the fridge if you're having them at a later date. If you have put a lid on, Just make sure that it's not boiling over. So our soup is good to go. It's all soft. I've turned the heat off. You can just serve it as it is if you like a chunky soup, or you can get a potato masher. Just gently mash it up until it's reached your preferred texture. If you've got little ones or yourself and you don't like chunks and you want a smoother soup, one of these hand blenders are really good gadgets. You can pick them up quite cheaply for about £5. If you are going in with this, do it in short 5-second blitz. Always remember to put the blade into the water and make sure that it's covered, otherwise you're going to have splashes everywhere. So just 5-second bursts, and then you can just move it around. You haven't got to move the hand blender around like this. You can just keep it still. There you go, 5-second burst, and just keep going until it's reached your preferred texture. And there we have it, our eggy muffin, our soup. I've done it quite smooth. In the end, I kept going with the hand blender. If you've got little ones who are fussy about veggies, it's a great way to get hidden veggies into their diet. And also it's quite well balanced. This plate is well balanced. We've got our fats in our cheese with our dairy, that little bit of oil. We've got our, obviously, our veggies towards our 5 a day, our carbs, our protein. So enjoy. Remember, if you've made quite a large portion of soup, let it cool, put it in the fridge for 3 days. We can freeze it. It's good to take to work or school or on the go in a flask. Our muffins, we don't have to have them to pair with our soup. We can have them as a mid-morning snack, an afternoon snack. Enjoy. Now that you've made one soup, what's to stop you making another? Carrot and parsnip with a little bit of spice goes quite well. Potato and leek, onion soup, tomato soup. You can try doing a meat version of a soup. Maybe rice into your soup, like a curried soup. The possibilities are endless. You could perhaps add lentils or chickpeas or types of beans, do like a Mexican style, a bit like a chili. It's really good to start here. Have a go and just adapt and find your feet and what's good for your household. Hope you've enjoyed the workshops. I would like to see your videos, your pictures. Any feedback? Would you do another workshop if we was to look and explore those avenues and delve into other recipes? Enjoy. Also, with our soup, you can add in some nuts to give it a bit of texture. You can add croutons, some seeds. We can add in some creme fraiche to serve, a bit of natural yogurt. We can put some herbs on, some soft herbs, coriander, parsley. You could even do, say, a pea and mint. That works quite well. So just explore and try something out of your comfort zone. That's the beauty of cooking. Have a go.